Who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters!
We finally did. Last night.
Is it right for date night or for your family? Stay tuned to find out.
Hello and welcome to Couple Chat.
Where we
Parents.
discuss topics for you.
Parents. I'm Matt.
I'm Jackie. Let's chat.
So, it's been a little bit, but Ghostbusters Frozen Empire came out, and we finally got to see it last night. Last night being... today we are shooting on a Monday. We saw it on a Sunday.
April 8th.
Yes. But I think it came out on March 22nd, so it's been a little bit. But, I mean, we had a lot going on. I went to Palm Beach, then we went to Orlando for vacation, is what you can call it, I guess, last week. We'll talk about that in the next episode. One of the things, anyway.
In the next 2 parts.
Yes, we're going to do a 2-parter, one about Disney and one about Universal. But right now, yeah, we're talking Ghostbusters, and, you know, I mean, how did you feel about it?
It's funny because we almost let the critics' score of it kind of decide for us, which, I mean, for some movies, we're like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And we don't really go out of our way to watch it anyway. But I felt like this time we went against the critics, and I think that opinion still stands. I really liked it, and I didn't care about like what the critics said about the fan service and it being a bloated film and all that. I actually enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it was fun. It felt darker than the others. So like, to answer that question right away, is it right for date night or your family? I mean, I know our kids would be way too scared of some of the elements in this film. So we would definitely not take them. If you have, preteens or teenagers, sure. I mean, I don't think it's that bad. It's Ghostbusters. It's the same thing you'd expect from any of the others, but
yeah, well, it helps too that the main characters, like the 4 core family members, like there's a 15-year-old, so right. It's good for like 14, 15, even 13-year-olds, like kind of relate to her. And then Trevor is 18, so 15 to 18 kind of relate, even a little bit older. So it kind of helps like feed into the younger generation, not our kids' age, but if you, like you said, if you have like a preteen or a teenager, I really think it would be, especially if you watched it with them before. Like if you started them on the first original, like 1984 one, and kind of like kept showing them to them, and like it was something that you shared. I mean, Ghostbusters to me is a cult classic. So it's one of those things like, it may not be for everybody, but if you share that with your kids or your grandkids or your niece and nephews or whoever you have in that age range, it's pretty lighthearted. It is dark, but it's pretty lighthearted for some of it too. But you have to know like the lore and the past movies and everything to get it. Yeah. So
this one more than Afterlife definitely did feel very fan servicey. So that's probably a big reason why the critics like kind of shat on it a little bit. But it wasn't like too much. I didn't think it was like unfounded. There was no moment in the movie where I was like, well, maybe with the mayor, but most of the movie I was like, it's fine. It doesn't bother me. They found a way to work certain things into the story, and I mean, the movie's very interesting. And if you've seen every single Ghostbuster minus the one that didn't work out, you know what I'm talking about. There's plenty of moments in it where you're like, oh, that's the thing from the other thing.
Yeah. It's so funny because it's like, oh, Easter egg, Easter egg, Easter egg, Easter egg. It's throughout the whole thing. What's so funny is, though, the other day you had said to my cousin or our cousin, you're like, oh, yeah, the Easter eggs. And she was like an Easter egg hunt? And we were like, no, that is not what we mean. Like, do you not know what an Easter egg is?
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know what an Easter egg is, there are things set throughout the plot, even in like the background, that it's like, oh, that was from such and such, or that, it's really cool to kind of like be able to see. Definitely takes another watch, I think, because there were a few things that I think we could have noticed more or sooner if we watched it a second time. But I think it's a very rewatchable movie as well.
Yeah. I mean, look, whether it's well written or not, which I thought wasn't terrible, the cast drives Ghostbusters movies.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they found a good new ensemble. You know, everybody's has a good, you know, funny, dramatic side, like just a good set of well-rounded actors to accompany the original actors that, you know, pop up every now and then throughout the film. This one, again, a little different because Afterlife, they really kind of like focused on the new generation, and they didn't bring in any of the older Ghostbusters until towards the end of the movie.
Right.
But in this one, because we already know how they're connected and they're in New York, like the original cast is involved throughout. Yeah. It's not, you know, too heavy-handed, but it's funny, like Ray Stantz, his character is actually more involved than probably the others, which again, it wasn't like Dan Aykroyd was fantastic. And it's interesting because, you know, Spengler obviously is not around anymore, and you know, the actor has passed as well, but I felt like they kind of made Stantz like that grandfather character, like he was kind of filling in for Spengler a little bit. Yeah. And yeah, I kind of like that a lot.
Yeah, I agree. He was kind of like the wise uncle or like the wise grandfather or whatever. Yeah, I felt that same way. And it's so funny too, because like kind of putting Paul Rudd in the mix with all of that, it was it's funny because he looked very similar to when he played Ant-Man. And he's like playing a dad of a girl who's the same age as his daughter in Ant-Man. Right. And just like the lines he would say, I'm like, that's a bit on the nose, Mr. Rudd. Like, I don't know. It's just really funny to see him in this role and it be so similar to his Ant-Man role. Yeah. And just
between him and Chris Pratt, like they're just taking everything that involves like our childhood and like, you know, like they're just becoming these actors that are like, oh, there's Paul Rudd, he's in that thing again.
Well, Paul Rudd's good at it.
Oh, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Garfield movie trailer that came on during the trailers.
I mean, I like Chris Pratt in Guardians.
Yeah.
That's good.
Anyway, so yeah, Paul Rudd's he's fantastic. He's just got this delivery about him. And I don't know how much these days, but like back when he was making Judd Apatow movies where he kind of started, there was a lot of improv. Right. Like most of the scene in 40-Year-Old Virgin where him and Seth Rogen are sitting in the gaming chairs in Steve Carell's house was improv. Like it's just a bunch of like yo mama jokes mostly, but like it's pretty funny. It's a really funny scene. You'd have to watch the movie again to know what I'm talking about probably.
That's for date night, folks.
Definitely.
40-Year-Old Virgin for date night.
I mean.
Date night.
Yeah, but
maybe with adult children if you feel that comfortable, but date night.
It's a funny movie.
Sure.
My favorite part is Steve Carell's like, yeah, you know, I've touched a boob or two. They feel like, you know, like sandbags. And they're like, what are you talking about? That's where he kind of like, they found out. It was pretty funny. Anyway, so Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. So, you know, without getting into too many spoilers, like if you haven't seen the old Ghostbuster movies, I mean, do you even live life?
Have you been under a rock? And if so, you and Patrick need to come out and watch these movies.
Patrick?
Hi, SpongeBob.
Oh God, what a joke that was.
Hey, we've been listening to a lot of SpongeBob the musical soundtrack.
Yeah, I'm aware. Anyway. But yeah, so definitely at least watch Afterlife. If you're planning on like, oh, well, I've seen the old Ghostbuster movies and now I'm going to go see Frozen Empire. You should probably watch Afterlife at least. Yeah, so, it's, I mean, I don't know what else there's to say about it. What else?
I mean, nothing really. I mean, it's Ghostbusters, so the special effects aren't the greatest. They're not terrible, but as bad as the first one.
Well, see, are you saying Afterlife or are you talking about the older movies? Because the older movies,
I'm talking older movies.
Well, I mean, the older movies, we're talking the 80s, one. And two, a lot of it's practical.
Right. No, there's not much practical in these anymore.
No, not at all.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah. I think there were some practical effects in Afterlife, actually. But this movie didn't seem like there was any. And, typical CGI main villain and everything. And I mean, he was fine. He was creepy. But, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, no, CGI guy.
Yeah.
That's how I felt anyway.
Yeah, sure.
But see, this is the thing about Ghostbusters that I've always kind of enjoyed and like was a little freaked out about when I was a kid. They do a good job riding the line between comedy and horror.
Yes.
And they really have good moments in there. And I think the score helps with that too. The score has this interesting like playfulness to it. And then like it like switches over to this like eerie tone. Like they use that I don't know what instrument does the, you know what I'm talking about? They use that so much in Ghostbusters, like when they're trying to like freak you out and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has that same flip flop where like you'll be laughing one minute and then the next minute you'll be like, oh man, this is kind of creepy. Yeah. But never gets to like it status or anything like that. But
no.
Yeah.
No, I would rewatch this movie. I would not rewatch it.
Oh, come on.
I have yet to rewatch the first It.
The new ones.
Oh my God. The new ones. The old one I still don't like either. But the new ones, I have yet to rewatch the one with
Bill Skarsgård.
Sorry, Bill, but you're some creepy mouth.
You've got some creepy mouth.
He does have a creepy mouth. I mean, the fact that he could do the whole without makeup, like that is very, very strange, man. That is very strange. Like, how can you? Oh. That's scary.
No. But anyway, so, we're not going to beat a dead horse like the people that make these movies are. But, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. It's worth a watch, I think.
Yeah, don't listen to the critics.
Yeah. I mean, the critics are panning it, but, I mean, fans have enjoyed it. If you look at Rotten Tomatoes, I think it has like an 83% or whatever. But I mean, I even said this to you, like the first Ghostbusters is like really acclaimed, this big hit. The second one wasn't. I mean, if you look at the ratings for that, even the critics don't like that movie. Right. And there's even I think there's a divide with fandom too. I don't know how many people really enjoy the second movie that much, but I mean, I do. I think it's pretty good. So, I mean, I've so far the first two and now these new two, I've enjoyed them. I mean, they're good fun movies. I'm not like the hugest Ghostbusters fan that I'm going to be like, well, this isn't that and blah 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 blah. But
this isn't canon. That's not canon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this isn't Star Wars, where 6 movies is all there is,
and then the TV shows.
Well, yes, most of those are good. Speaking of that, we're going to go and watch more Bad Batch probably.
Yay. But yeah, as you said, lighthearted, fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think great for date night, especially if you're looking to relax after a long, annoying, crazy vacation that you got no alone time.
Yeah.
It was a nice breath of fresh air to laugh and just Ghostbusters.
Anyway, I'm Matt.
I'm Jackie.
Here are the Hahns signing out.
Thank you so much for listening to Couple Chat. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify or YouTube Music and check out our YouTube page to see this episode in video. Thank you to Hahn Films for editing and producing this episode. Talk to you soon.